Hey, this is Mike Swanson, The Past American Century. A couple weeks ago, I went to Dallas, Texas, and one of the things I did is I went to the 6th floor museum at Dealey Plaza. I'd never been there before, and I thought I'd share some of my observations and a review of it. First of all, basically, it's one floor of a warehouse is what you're essentially seeing, with some exhibits about the assassination that this 6th floor museum put together. Supposedly this museum is funded by many of the wealthiest people in Dallas and the surrounding area to kind of give a controlled view of what happened in Dealey Plaza when President Kennedy was assassinated. But here are some reviews on TripAdvisor, and this is kind of typical of what I kind of experienced. There are a few artifacts located in the museum, but overall it is a walking audio tour with headphones. So when I bought my ticket, they gave me headphones, and then they said go up the elevator to the warehouse floor, the 6th floor, and listen to your headphones and look at the exhibits. Well, I didn't really have the time to want to listen to an hour or more of someone talking to me through headphones. And frankly, I like to read and interact with people, but the headphones prevented that because everyone else was walking around with their headphones. And I felt like I was cut off from the couple dozen people in there because no one wanted to speak, no one wanted to say anything. Quite a different experience from when you go somewhere like let's say the NASA Space Museum, the Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C., where people are running around, people are talking, kids are playing, and people just are having fun. Here, very somber, which is kind of expected, knowing it's about the assassination of John F. Kennedy. But no one wanted to talk, so it's kind of, I didn't like that. But, you know, if you want to go somewhere where you don't have to talk to people, this is something you can do. Some of the exhibits' timeline was hard to follow. Overall, if you think the Warren Report can inspire conspiracies, this site will not solve anything either. Well, that's definitely true. I got no insights at all in regards to the assassination. It's really pretty much stuck to the Warren Commission story, but not only that, ignored parts of the story that don't fit with the conclusion. As this person said, didn't add anything to what I already knew, a bit underwhelmed. Audio tour and newspaper and video was okay. So this person did take the audio tour, so there you go. A bit disappointed at the expense in time and money when the exhibits are mainly panels of text and photographs. Very little artifacts. In other words, no expensive preservation required to justify the cost. Well, there were a few artifacts, so let me give you an idea of what I actually saw myself. So you do see a display of books stacked up at the 6th floor window in which Oswald allegedly fired the rifle. However, you kind of thought, well, I'd be able to look out the window and get a view of what Oswald or whoever saw for myself. What was the shot lined up to look like? No, you can't, because a glass display blocking you from getting close to those boxes prevents you from getting an actual view out of the window. Instead, you can go next to the window and you see this, a TV monitor showing a cartoon version of what it would be like to stand at the so-called sniper's nest. Looking out the window here, you couldn't really tell anything. And then there's another window on the other side of the sniper's nest, and really you saw a lot of trees. So, but the museum tells you Oswald was in that window, so you're not supposed to think too much deeply about it. Just accept what the cartoons show you. And then after the window, you see this exhibit of Oswald's wedding ring. This is an artifact at the museum, and you can stare at it and look at it, but more important is the panel behind it saying that Oswald put this wedding ring on the dresser before he went to work, with the implication being that this is a Rosetta Stone to the assassination. And all you need to see is this exhibit in the panel, and you pretty much are supposed to be convinced that, okay, Oswald was a lone assassin, and that's about all there is to it. And then there was a panel after that about the medical evidence. None of the contradictions in the testimony between the Parkland doctors and the autopsy report could be talked about at that panel, because it wouldn't fit in with the overall conclusion that Oswald was the lone assassin. But that's so it just doesn't fit in with the agenda of the museum. And then as you leave, actually the last exhibit is this: the Mandler Cacarno rifle. It's a replica of the rifle, not the actual rifle. There's a sign below it telling you that, but it also says that Oswald is linked to the original rifle, and therefore you're just supposed to conclude, all right, Oswald had the wedding ring in there, this rifle was used by Oswald, case closed, the headphones told me this too, I'm done, I'm walking out. Any contradictions in the evidence could not be revealed in the museum. It's basically a propaganda shop, and it's weird. That's the only way to put it. I'm kind of glad I don't live in Dallas, because I think it would be creepy to think that here's this museum and it's basically a whitewash. But there you go. So that's my thoughts on the museum. I'm not saying don't go there. If you want to see the floor, this warehouse floor, and check it out, go ahead, but just don't take it very seriously. And certainly do not have high expectations for this trip. If you go visit that, do not have high expectations. So that's my take on the 6th floor museum, and hope you enjoyed it.